We are just over 2 weeks into this summer transfer window, and there's already plenty to discuss in the Premier League as moves are being done as we speak right now, of course, in the Premier League. Hope you're all well. If you are, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. I'm joined by Sean for a bit of a transfer roundup in the Premier League tonight on a sunny Sunday evening, I suppose you could say. Sean, you all right?
Yeah, all good, mate, all good. Weather can't make his mind up today, but we got a few hours of sunshine out there, so all good.
Good. Lawrence is in the chat. Hope you are. Anyone else watching? Hope you are all keeping well. I mean, there's only one place to start, and that's with your good friends Arsenal, Sean. Gabriel Jesus signed and confirmed in the last half an hour from Fabrizio Romano, £45 billion. What do you make of
that? First of all, it's the same with all clubs, isn't it? That we can sit there and pick fault with it, but if every club's going to suit clubs different, in every player is going to suit a club differently. Like they need a striker. Lacazette, he's gone. Not that he was doing a lot, he's gone. I will say, I think it's a little bit of a lazy and a predictable transfer. If I'm being honest, that's how I feel. If I bloody dog, sorry, let the dog out.
That's all right.
If I find that a bit of a lazy transfer, really. Like I know this XG and all these stats nowadays, they're probably a little bit over the top, but I think I read the other day that his XG is absolutely horrendous, like really bad.
I think on paper it looks a good deal, but when you actually look at it, I don't think it's a player that suits Arsenal. If I'm completely honest with you, you know, he's a good player and all that, but I don't think he's a striker for Arsenal. The whole Arsenal lot are going to be bigging it up and this and that and the other. But let's not forget he wasn't the most effective in one of the best Premier League sides we've ever seen in a Manchester City side.
Yeah, like I'm going to repeat myself. I don't like these over stats, but some stats you can't ignore. And I think they had a list comparing his XG, and I think I've read how they worked out the XG and what he actually scored. He should have scored 20 more chances, right? And like you said, that's in Man City side. So Arsenal, you could probably take half of that off the chances created.
Yeah.
What I will say about Arsenal, he's another one of these sort of pretty footballers. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not
100%.
like Arsenal need not a target. Do you know what I mean? They need a focal point is what I'm looking for. A focal point that plays down the middle. Even if back in the day when they've had the Giroud, didn't they? Or Aubameyang, Adebayor going further back, Henry. They've always had Lacazette probably won't it, but they've had a focal point.
Yeah.
They've given a new contract to this young Nketiah. I think Paul Merson already saying he's nowhere near good enough to lead the line for them. And Jesus, you know, he's not going to stay up there. He's going to float around the mishmash about. He's going to be your typical Arsenal player. And I think
with his stats though, he played 28 games last year in the Premier League with 17 goal involvements. I mean it's not atrocious, but for being the kind of main striker, even though he isn't really, Man City don't really have a striker. I mean, it's not fantastic with the players he's got around him. Good player, but I'm not quite sure he's gonna slot in well.
Is he going to come in? Are they expecting him to score 20? Because I don't see that.
No, neither do I.
I'll be surprised if he scores 15. But I think for years now, and the ex-Arsenal, the Arsenal fans, by the way, have gone a bit loopy this pre-season. They're still talking about Tottenham because they blew it. They're still looking to blame someone else. And obviously, you know what it's like as a fan, you get stuff retweeted around, give everyone a laugh. So I did see a couple of years ago, they did like a poll or somewhere, and Arsenal fans came out top of being the most delusional in the game.
Well, they are.
But I'm even seeing it on there now, like some of the fans are now expecting a title challenge. I'm like, what? I don't know. But
I think they're going to have a shock when they're all putting out their dream front line of whoever and whatever, Saka and Jesus. But I don't think it's going to be the same as they all think it is. Let's take some comments. Sean's dog's just been put on the transfer list.
Yeah,
here we go. It's out the door. It's out the door. When are we signing Jesse? I don't know. I just can't be bothered, to be honest with you. I was excited with it, and then kind of X said this afternoon that, well, it's not all what it seems. This offer's been on the table pretty much since the start of the window and for a long time. So A few sources might be telling a few lies as well, but hey ho, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Jesus drifts out of games. He does. He's not that, and the key term was earlier. He's not a focal point. You know, he's very much a player suited to City, not to many other sides in the Premier League. Personally, if I'm honest with you. But
Yeah.
hey ho, they've got their Fabio Vieira and their Jesus now, so they'll be right.
Again, it's two. It's this with Arsenal. That they're two. I don't know a lot about this Vieira, but apparently he's another little playmaker, isn't he? So
yeah,
so they're still signing these little quick-footed, like nifty sort of playmaky, sort of nippy players. Well, all we've heard for a long time ago that for a few years now that Arsenal lack leaders, right? So they're still signing the same old Arsenal players. Do you know what I mean? It's like Arteta. He's just good. He's stubborn, Arteta, and for a manager that's achieved. Well, he's won an FA Cup. If you want to count that, he's very inexperienced. Hasn't got a lot of experience. Achieved very little. It's rare for someone who's that inexperienced to be that stubborn. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know. They're crying out for a centre midfielder, but not another little nifty player. But
Well, let them worry about that. Let's move on.
I think they're linked to Rafinha as well, aren't they?
See, that's another one of those players, isn't it? You know, it's just can blow hot and cold.
I rate Rafinha, but again, Saka plays in the right wing for them.
Yeah.
Right. So what's he going to do? And I don't know. I just looking at it. I think Edu and their old Brazilian player. I think he's still in charge of the transfers. I know this Fabio come from. Was it Porto? Was it he come from the Portuguese league? But I'm looking at it thinking, if I sat down for about 20 minutes, I could probably tell you they'd probably go for next. They just seem that predictable.
Yeah. Well, hey ho. Gary, hope you're well. Good evening. Where you've been? We took a bit of a break, as you can see. Sean's had a trim. All refreshed and ready to go. So we are back on your screens, unfortunately, I suppose you could say. Kent, hope you well. We will sign somebody we don't expect. Look at Warburton Deal. Things look, Warburton Deal, you know, nobody knew that was coming, did they? It was all kept under the it was all kept under the radar, you know. Nobody needed, get the joke, to know that, and nobody did they? I'm here all week, people. I'm here all week. Are we still looking at Watkins? No, I think David Moyes stroked him off of his striker list. Too expensive, we believe. But hey ho. Right, let's move on. And I want to go on to Chelsea and Raheem Sterling. Fabrizio said Chelsea will submit a new proposal for Raheem Sterling. Tuchel wants the player, and personal terms have already been discussed. Very strange.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not doing every club because I've got an Indian coming, so we can't be here all night. Well, Chelsea are a strange club at the moment, aren't they? Because I did hear your Declan Rice video earlier about the owner. I know they've been bought out for like a few billion, but I don't think I've heard what sort of money they're going to put on transfers. I don't really know what the situation is. I know they've just effectively chucked away 100 million on Lukaku. I think they're going to get about 8 million a year on loan for him. So I don't know what they've got. Sterling, I think he's still a good player. Yeah. I think again with Chelsea, when was it? It wasn't a couple of years ago. They went and they signed they're all good players. They signed 3 or 4 players that all want to play in the same position. I think the same window they signed Havertz, Werner, Ziyech. You know, he's gone at leaving. And then now they got Sterling. He's a similar sort of player that sort of likes to play in the holes. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know. He's a good player. Do you know what I mean? I think wherever Sterling goes, he's going to give us all. He's going to be a good signing. But I don't know what structure Chelsea have got. Are they going to go down? I did hear I'm going to copy this off the radio. Is Tuchel going to copy the Man City model and not play a striker like he's in the last few years? Do you know what I mean? I don't know what's going on. Is honest truth, and I know you're after that brush up maybe. Chelsea, they've got so many players coming back from loan. I don't really think they even know what they're doing with half of them yet. I know they've had that. The ownership shouldn't change too much what goes on, but from the outside, it feels like they're just behind a lot of the other clubs with what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's a strange thing when I saw it and I went, really? Is that really
They've
going to
lost two
happen?
centre backs as well. Don't forget, they both started regular already. So
Yeah,
they've lost, and they had a Chelsea fan on the radio when I was driving to work, and he was moaning about this. Jules Koundé, the Sevilla defender,
yeah,
they've been linked to buying him for 2 seasons. Do you know what I mean? So they just don't. I think he might even be going somewhere else now, but they just don't get, for a club that we always link to being money bags, like oil rich and all this. They don't. Abramovich didn't invest consistently like a lot of people think, and now this
no,
new owner's come in, and we haven't got a clue what he's going to do. So
mm,
it's
yeah,
just you just have to keep an eye on him, really. But yeah, if they get Sterling, he'll do well for him. But what are you going to do with the rest of them? Because Ziyech, when he was at Ajax, he was class. You know what Chelsea like? They'd rather stockpile players so no one else gets them, and
yeah.
then I think he's on about going somewhere like AC Milan, maybe somewhere. I don't know. So yeah,
Mm.
it's yeah. See what happens, mate. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the wise thing to do. Next up, but before we do, let's take some comments. Where are we? James, hope you're keeping well. We need 5 to 6 more players. Yeah, in terms of West Ham, 100%. Even all Pie Mash kids, hope you're well. Right, next up, let's talk a little bit about Ronaldo. I don't want to touch on it too much, but Man United's position regarding Ronaldo is clear. They want him to stay, but the player is expecting something from the club in the market. He is ready to play in the Europa League, but the team should be capable of competing in the Premier League for trophies. Can you see him going this summer?
I don't know. Thing is, United, they're like a lot of clubs. You go on Twitter one day and it's one story, then it's contradicted the next. Like I think this morning I read that Ericsson had said no to United, and I'm sure I just read that it's about another here we go. He's joined United, so you just don't know. I think with Ronaldo, and he won't like me. If I had Chav, he'd hate me if I said this. He's running out of time to go anywhere else. So where's he going to go? Do you know what? He's at the stage now. He's 37. He doesn't want to. He wants to play Champions League. He can still score goals, but where's he going to go if he leaves United now? Like
Yeah.
you're looking down at. I suppose he'd go back to Real Madrid, but do they really want him back for a swan song?
No.
Other than that, I don't know. I can see him staying, being grumpy like he was last year. Because basically, sooner or later, why he's getting grumpy. He's got to accept that it's coming to an end. Really,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. It's been a very unsuccessful season for Man United and Cristiano Ronaldo, and I don't think his ego will like playing in the Europa League and playing in a
No.
failing side. To be honest with you, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Talk about West Ham for a minute here. Our
Yeah.
perfect window would be Ogard, Areola, Lingard, Ward-Prowse, Brozier for me. Empire Match Kid also says, I really want to keep Ben Rama and get rid of Vlasic, in my opinion. Now I saw you having a bit of a pop at West Ham Central on Twitter earlier. Sean, where are you with the whole West Ham transfer business? Because we ain't doing bad for our standards.
No, remind me what I said again. which one was it?
Basically, I think he said something like Ward-Prowse, Brozier, Dan Juma, and somebody else. Champions League is bringing in Euro in your dreams or something.
No, I comment on one of your posts on Facebook. It's straight for. I said before, for a club like West Ham, it's tricky because in a dreamland you're going to challenge for top four, right? In a dreamland, it's difficult getting there. It's very difficult attracting the players that are going to get you there. But you've got to sign some players. So you were linked to the Villarreal. Was it Dan Juma? Is it Dan Juma?
Yeah.
Good player. So there's two ways of looking at it. He's going to improve you. He's going to bring speed. He's going to improve your team. Is he going to take you to the next level? Probably not. But you've got to build it. It's a tricky one for West Ham. What you as fans, you don't want to fall in the trap. Bear in mind, I'm speaking from experience. I'm not trying to talk down to any fans. For years, Tottenham have been trying to become a Champions League side. Go back 15 years, probably. I can remember it was pressure from the owners. We got to stop the Europa nonsense. We need better. So I've been there, and it's easy to get sucked in when you get linked to all these players that no one's really heard of. Okay, like I know this Ogard that you've already signed. 90% of West Ham's fan base wouldn't have heard of him until the link started. I don't believe for a second they did. All of a sudden, oh, that'd be a perfect window. But you've never seen him kick a ball yet. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's easy. It's easy to get sucked in, but we all get excited. So I think with a lot of, it's like so you picked up a few bargains, like you paid a bit for a few, like the checks and all that, going to different leagues. You also need one if you're going to push on a little bit. I think you need one or two players that you have heard of. Maybe a Dan Juma, he might be the one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because he's got European pedigree. He's he might take in the next level, but I think Newcastle will buy him well. I think they've only started buying well, and I could be totally wrong, but I think they will be the ones fighting you for what were you seventh last year?
Yeah,
they're going to be up around that, aren't they? They're going to be top 8, I think. So yeah, I think you do like your dad just wrote. You need 5 or 6 players. If I was a West Ham fan, I'd want 2 or 3 of those to at least be ones where you don't need to Google them. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? That it doesn't. I'm not even saying it has to be a 70 million Ward-Prowse or whatever daft price you want for him. If you just know of like, oh, he was good in the Premier League last year for Watford, or he hit a Brighton player who's running his contract down.
We are seeing a bit more of that. We're starting to be linked with these players. We've been linked with the 2 from Watford. Ismaila Sarr seems to have a bit of texture to it. Brozier as well. That's becoming increasingly more difficult, we think, because Chelsea are standing there and saying, "Well, we want Declan Rice." Then
I know, but Jake, even with Brozier, like he's just yes, he had a season in the Premier League, and he did okay for Southampton. Right, he did okay. There's no Southampton fans will tell you he did any better than okay. But because he was he's a bit of a fashionable name, he's young, he's at Chelsea on loan, all of a sudden, in a fan's mind, it's easy to elevate him from what he really is. Do you know what I mean? It might be good, but for someone like West Ham, you're 7th, and let's be honest, the fans now, the expectations rise. Most fans aren't really happy being 7th now. You want, right, let's kick on a bit.
But I think with the whole Brozier thing, I think in a better side he gets better and at least puts players in the Premier League that we've heard of. It does continue on that bit better from the likes of Vlasic, who we'd never heard of, who's come in and has been rubbish this season. Let's not lie. I still think we should give him another season, but we are swerving away from that, and we're being linked. We're being linked with Sarr, Ward-Prowse. We were linked to Basuma for a while as well. I think it's difficult at this stage. We're usually looking at the watch, and we haven't signed anybody yet. We are expecting next week Areola to be signed. £10.5 million. I think that's a bargain, to be honest with you. I think he is one of the best shot stoppers in the league. We've now signed Ogurd, who we have never heard of. We've signed Areola. Things are going on there,
Yeah, well, yeah. My club, who's done more business than most, the fans are kicking off. Oh, when's the next one coming? But most clubs haven't done anything. So it's you got sometimes. We live in bubbles as football fans, don't we, for our own club. Sometimes you've got to take yourself out of the bubble and just plonk yourself somewhere else and think, right, what do they need and what do they do? And then you think, right, hang on, it's not quite so bad. But Brozier, I think, going back to him, I think he's going to be about 35 million if you get him. He could be a very astute signing, but it's a lot of money and a lot of pressure on a lad that hasn't done a lot yet.
All right, then. So we've had this discussion many times about the the stature and the know-how of players that West Ham have signed. I'm going to give you 10 minutes to think about this while we talk about something else. I want you to sign 5 players for West Ham that you've heard of and fits all your categories.
I mean, my brain's going to have to work. Have to cut it down the middle, and I'm going to have to multitask.
All right. Well, I'll take some comments a minute whilst you have a little think about that.
Yeah. All right, mate. You carry on.
Right. What's this? Let's scroll up. Right, here we go. If everyone can get can subscribe, Jake has promised if he gets 3,000 before the Man City game, he's buying my beer all season. Yeah, okay, carry on. Kent says, are Chelsea just going to scatter guns so new owners impress? I can't see it. Lorena G is going to be a massive miss. Yeah, I think with Chelsea it's going to be interesting to see what their approach is going to be going into the next few seasons, if I'm honest with you, but we'll have to wait and see. Perfect window would be Ogurd, Areola, Lingard, Ward-Prowse, Brozier. I think we went through that. talking of pie and mash, double pie, double mash and liquor with a big splash of vinegar for afters, 2 lots of jelly eels. Lovely. James says it don't include the chasers then, Richard. Rip off if you ask me. Yeah, well, he talks rubbish anyway, doesn't he? Right, Kent's going left back. Lee Butchland, Aaron Hickey, Richard. For me, both Brownhill, Lingard, McNeil, Lewis, Potter, Brozier and Adebayo. Pie Mash Kid says, as long as we have 5 to 6 quality signings after losing Fredericks, Noble, Yarmolenko and Martin, we'll be in Europe next year. Moyes is doing wonders, lads. Lewis Potter, another great prospect from Hull in the Championship. Let's scroll down. Sharky, I can't bring it up on the screen for some reason, but I put Sharky, a member for 11 months. Thank you very much. You're a month away from the year. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. At least 1 or 2 signings are starting to happen now. Yeah, the blood is starting to boil. The pot is starting to stir around. We're starting to get going. 3K subscribers, it's coming. Fingers crossed. Right then, Sean, have you got anything yet, or should we move on to somebody else before?
I got a few lazy ones, probably. I don't criticise lazy, but
go on now.
I think it's worth keeping an eye on Chelsea. I don't know what's going to happen with like Loftus-Cheek, someone like that. That's maybe quite ambitious. I know a lot of your fans like look at Zinchenko as well.
Yeah,
I think he's very versatile. I got lots of mates to support all different clubs, and I obviously Tottenham are clearing out 3 or 4. I can see. I'm surprised more Premier League clubs. Well, apparently some Premier League clubs have been in for him, but I think Bergwijn does a very good job for most Premier League sides. I think Ajax are dying to sign him. I think he'd suit West Ham as well, because you could have Bowen one side, him the other side of the striker. He can play through the middle as well. I'm surprised for the 20-25 million. I'm surprised we haven't seen more clubs being released into him. Other than that, I don't, obviously Loftus-Cheek probably want silly money for him. It's Chelsea. You're buying from Chelsea, you're going to pay ridiculous fees.
And Chelsea are being stupid as well, because we're basically saying, can we have Brozier? And they're saying, we'll give us Rice.
But yeah, if you don't, you've been linked to the Watford forwards, I take Bergwijn over them every single day of the week. But it's the old West Ham, the rivalry, whether they do business, a bit of a tricky one. But I've named you 3 there. Like you probably, if you just get 2 or 3 that you know, as fans, you know you can rely on. As fans, you know what I mean? If you're going into the start of the season, was it first week in August this year?
Yeah.
And you've got 6 new signings, and none of them have kicked the ball in the Premier League, other than the goalie, and say 2 or 3 of them you haven't heard of, you're going to go in a season hopeful. If you've got 2 or 3 that have maybe, I don't know, got 50 Premier League appearances, played well, maybe even played in the Champions League, it's just going to give the fans a little bit more of a lift. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I think, you know, Moyes is edging more towards Sarr, we think, but I think Dennis would be a good player. I thought from what he had around him last season, I thought he did okay, to be honest with you. He wasn't amazing, but he didn't have amazing players around him. And I think the players were kind of going for those, like, you know, for the Southamptons and the formerly of Southampton, Brozier as well, the Watfords, going in for these players who have impressed, you know, in the bottom half of the table is what we seem to be doing. And going into the Championship as well, we've now signed Warburton as our assistant coach, obviously managed in the Championship for a very long time. He might bring something to the table in that case as well. So it's going to be interesting, because, you know, we've had plenty of rumours actually just come through today that Danjuma, for the amount that they're asking for, I think it's a gamble, to be honest with you. I don't think it was fantastic against Bournemouth. I think.
Do you know why are they up for selling him? Do you know?
I don't know, but the word seems to be they need to sell him. That's what they said.
Yeah,
so.
I don't know what sort of. Obviously, a lot of clubs are on their backside financially, aren't they? Yeah. When I seen it as Villarreal, the first thing I thought was they need to sell him to buy sell from Tottenham. So that was one of the first things I thought, because I think we're trying to get about 25 for him. So it works that way. And obviously, Ajax sold. Who's the striker you had? Haller, was it?
Haller.
They flogged him because they couldn't afford Bergwijn unless they get him. So it's like you could have like a domino effect. So some clubs need to flog on. Like it might be worth you looking into this, because I didn't actually know the reason. But the 30th of June is an important date for a lot of clubs to do with finances and financial fair play. So what you might see is the likes of Everton, the ones that are struggling a bit with money. I don't know the depths, what the real reason is behind this, but the 30th of June kept propping up, and that's 3 or 4 days' time.
Well,
So
they've been back against the wall pretty much, haven't they, with this fair play? And they see and somebody even linked them with Gallagher today as well. Obviously, they've been linked with Winks as well. Your lad that you keep saying that we need to sign, which we're not going to sign. But anyway, right, let's take some comments and then we'll talk about the Spuds for a bit, and then we'll talk about Ericsson, then we'll wrap things up.
Oh, not good.
Yeah, Neymar spotted in Greg's Westfield yesterday. He wants to leave PSG. I'm hearing that he had a steak bake along with a Diet Coke. Classy. At least they want one of them bean cheese melt things. You know, that's just horrible. Wally must be a Bournemouth fan. Yeah, definitely. Now, fair play to Fredericks. You know, he's gone. He's kept himself in the Premier League, and I think he'll get regular game time at Bournemouth. Down our way, Bournemouth. Hey ho. Pie Mashki says, has it been confirmed how much we have to spend this window? Well, different sources have said different things. Claret and Shoe, take it with what you like. About 120 million pounds. That's putting Ogard to the size of Ogard and the 120 million pounds we're hearing. So if you take 10 million pound off for Areola, that's 110 left. How would you spend it? Here's a question. Does anyone think if we were to put a decent bid in for Rashford, Man United would be willing to sell? The fella needs a fresh start, in my opinion. Gone stale at United. See, here we go. See, he wants
Good
Premier
shout.
League proven players. Marcus Rashford.
It's a good shout. It's like he was a player that was linked, well, every player under the sun's linked to Tottenham, but he was apparently, we inquired about him that 3 weeks ago, and it was like no. But I agree with that comment entirely. I'll be honest, I've never been his biggest fan. I've never thought he's good enough for United, put it that way. No. But some people are too easy to jump on players' backs when a lot of it is a player sometimes just goes stale. Sometimes I don't want to keep dragging my own team into it, but Harry Winks is one that he was getting man of the matches for England, and he was man of the match versus the best team in the world in the Champions League. Few injuries, 2 or 3 managers. You sign another player, same as Rashford, another player comes in. You're struggling with an injury whilst you got Ronaldo, a Sancho there in. All of a sudden, it's hard to get back. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because Man United, I think they'll be looking to let these players go. I think they let another one go today for about 10 million pounds. It was rumoured that they're trying to get rid of another one. I think with Man United, a lot of people turn their nose up, but you take the Man United out of these players, I think they're different players, you know.
The only thing I say with Rashford, Jake, I don't think he suits your manager's style in the slightest. That's the only thing I'll say to that.
Yeah, I think so. But
I agree that he needs. I agree he probably needs a fresh challenge. If I was going to be a betting man, within the next 12 months, if he's still not doing it at United, you could probably see him at the Emirates at Arsenal, couldn't you? He's another one of them.
Yeah, could you imagine that? Oh dear, they'd all be laughing then, wouldn't they? Harry Winks going to Everton on loan, it seems. Yeah, we'll talk about that in just a second. We need actual strikers, otherwise we will struggle. Yeah, just a couple of real strikers, you know, please. That's all we want. I'd love to see Rashford signed, says Sharky. Peter doesn't want Sarr. Interesting. What is this rubbish about Lingard coming? The Mail and Darmesh have come out and said that there's a bit more going for it, but X has said there's no real change with it, to be honest with you. So same, I think. Lawrence says needs Jesse, another striker and a left back. Probably say 2 strikers, a left back.
Jake, why? I'm just wondering. We've had like 3 or 4 now saying perfect window. We need Jesse. Why? He had 3 good months at West Ham nearly 18 months ago. So he barely kicked the ball in that space. So to now chuck him into a perfect window, we need him. Sometimes football moves on. Sometimes I think, did you say earlier that there's been a contract on the table offer for Lingard for a while, and he's just looking at it. I haven't really heard of any other clubs. Really, Newcastle a little bit.
The issue is, I think the issue is wages, because the report is that we don't really want to give him much wages, and he wants about 180 grand, and we've just said jog on, mate. So, you know, unless he drops his wage, I don't think he will come. But hey ho. Well, Peter says Jesse James would be better, but let's talk about the Spuds for a bit, shall we? So signed a few good players, Perisic, whoever else. Winks is going out the door. Anything else going on?
Well, we've made 3 signings already. Fraser Forster coming as backup keeper.
Woo!
Well, I don't know if you would get into this not financial play about the homegrown rules. All right, Tottenham have struggled with homegrown rules for a few years, and so even when we had to name the European squad, we had to leave out someone that would normally get on the bench. So having a foreign keeper last year like Galini was just dumb. He was crap as well. It was like a scarecrow. He didn't move. He watched go in the corners. So Forster, he'd be the best backup keeper we've had in a few years. So Perisic, I'm over the moon with that signing. I'm not going to lie.
Really?
That is a very, very good signing. Very good.
How old is he?
He's 32.
There you go. Then that's all you need to know, isn't it? Come on, Sean.
Last year, he was one of the fittest players in Serie A. He made the Serie A team of the season.
Serie A, Sean.
Yeah. Okay. He's won the Champions League for Bayern Munich as well. He's played wing back for Conte already. Last season, his top speed was higher than any Tottenham player, including Son. He's 32. His injury record, he is
33 actually.
He's 33 next month, isn't he?
Is he?
He's in the last 14 seasons, he's only missed 40 games due to injury. That's 2.8 games on average a season. So, and he's class. He's always been class. He's very good signing. He's made of granite. Conte loves Sessegnon on the left wing. He's a bit injury prone, left wing back. So those two is the 2 options, and they're going to probably sell Reguilon back to Spain probably. So I was over the moon with that. That's a very good signing. You know, I'm a huge fan of Bissouma. He's probably the best against Tottenham. He's been the standout centre midfielder in the last 2 or 3 seasons against us. So you know, it's like when you see a player, and every time they play, like he's something special. The reaction of all the press over heard and read just said it's like a very, very good signing. A big fan of his. Harry Winks. I think I got a funny feeling we've got Everton over a barrel a little bit. You know what Daniel Levy's like. If he thinks he can get his claws into a poor club, he's going to take advantage. Like everyone, I think I've said before, our director of football, Paratici, and this can make it a headache for fans and for other clubs. What he does, say we're after 4 positions, which you probably are, he will target 10 players for each position. That's 40 players. He will then start minor negotiations for all 40 players. And as it gets towards the end, so all these little stories have come out, like Tottenham, they spoke to Jesus. Tottenham, they spoke to Rafinha. There might have just been like an initial chat and it got leaked. And then he'll eventually go down the line and take the ones. And he'll have like a priority list. I've read the priority list for the left side of centre back. And then he'll just move down the list and get the one as close to the top as he can get. So with Everton, I think we'll probably, if I'm going to have a hunch, I say we're going to sign Richarlison. I think. Do
you want him though? I've seen you on Twitter raving about him. Really?
I haven't raved about him. He's a player that he's as a rival fan, you don't like him because he's one of them people. Oh, he's an idiot
who dives.
Yeah, well, that's debatable.
Is it?
It is debatable because I'm going to keep putting you right, Jake, tonight. And this is another stat for your listeners, all right?
Go on, stats. You love a stat, don't you? Come on, then.
Is Richarlison a diver? Yeah, he has dived. But there might be a bigger story to that. Last season, there was 12 bookings in the Premier League for simulation, right? 12.
Right.
6 of those, half of them, all come from Everton. Okay? So
but I think that there was a lot more than 12 dives last year, and referees do just wave it on and just tell him to get up without booking them, so you can't really go with that.
But that's football. We can only go on the laws. I've said before. If you think it's a proper dive and you cheat and you get booked for it, and my point more was the fact that Everton got 6 of the bookings. That tells me it's something more. They're told to sort of look for things. Do you know what I mean? Because that is.
Or do you think it's a bit of the referees just you know, they've just been picked on because you see, get up and get on with it a lot more than you do bookings.
We've seen Richarlison dive a little bit, but also I don't know if you can remember it. It was remember the Merseyside derby? I think it was at Goodison. That I do rate him. That Anthony Gordon. Remember he was getting.
Yeah.
He was dive. He got booked for diving in that game.
Mm.
It looked like he was just looking to try and get someone booked for a dive. Do you know what I mean? It did actually look like he was doing it on purpose, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I think it was probably a bit of an Everton thing. As for Richarlison, I think he starts a lot of games up front for Brazil. He's a similar. I think he's a similar in ability to Rafinha, right? I think they bring a similar goal threat, but the difference is with Richarlison, he's versatile. We play a front three. His whole career, he's played in any one of the three positions across the front. He's pretty quick. He can hold the ball up. So basically, if we go in the Champions League, if he wants to rest Son at a game, he can play off the left. If Kane picks up a niggle, he can play through the middle. So the likes of Rafinha, we've inquired about, he can't do that. Jesus, who we apparently linked to, he can't do that. So I think he's a good player. I think he's far too good for Everton. His 10 goals to them last year probably kept them up. Bear in mind, Everton paid 35 million from about 3 years from Watford. I think he's decent. Like, I think he'd be a good signing for your lot. I think he's that level, if I'm being honest. I think he's. It remains to be seen whether he's Champions League level, but I think he's good enough. I think he'd be a better option for Arsenal. I think if you put him up front, because he's a bit of a handful and he's got that little dirty streak in him, hasn't he, really?
He fits into that Brazilian thing that Lagunas are going to keep on banging on about.
He's a bit flashy, but he's also a bit of a. Look, as a rival fan, you think, oh, I can't stand him. And
he's a bit, he's a bit selfish. He's got an attitude, and he's just a bit.
I don't know. I don't think Conte will sign a player with a bad attitude. Personally, I just don't think he'll have it. He's trying to shift out two on loan now, one because they wouldn't buy into his ethos. But the fact that if he wants to come, because I know he wants to leave Everton, he will know he's going to have to fight for a spot. He will know he's not going to start every week. He'll know he's not going to be the main man. So with this attitude thing, I'm thinking you've got to have not a bad attitude to join a club to want that challenge. You know what I mean?
Mm.
But anyway, I think we'll go for him because it's not that I think he's brilliant. I think he's good. I don't think he's brilliant, but he ticks the boxes. He's a versatile striker who can play across. So Everton want Winks. Apparently, he's the number one target. Obviously they're skint. They can't buy him. So it might be one of these newfangled deals where it's what do they call it? A loan now, but you've got to buy him in 12 months. Would you have an option?
The kind of the option or the obligation.
I don't think we'll let him go down loan unless an obligation. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I said, I've got a funny feeling it's going to be it's got to be two separate deals. I think Richarlison, if we say, right, 55 million, we'll buy him. Then
55?
It's about that much.
Flipping hell.
Yeah, it's about that much. Well, like I said, they paid 35 million to Watford a few years ago. So,
that's a bit steep, that, isn't it? 55, flipping hell.
It's the going rate. Arsenal just paid 50 off for Jesus. Do you know what I mean? It's the going rate. It's nuts. 50 million does seem to be the ballpark figure for half the players on the bloody planet. But going through Tottenham quickly again, very happy with our midfield four we've got now. We need a right wing back. I think we're linked to Jed Spence quite a lot. The Forest one that was on loan from Middlesbrough. It seems like he wants to come, but Tottenham dragging their heels with a bit. I think they want 20 million. I think we're not paying that yet. We've been linked to loads of left centre backs. We play a back three, obviously, so we need to overload the centre back options a bit. Heavily linked. We wanted Bastoni into Milan. I think we were looking at him for 50 million as well.
But that's a big kind of Paratici, Conte kind of.
Yeah, he's only about 22 or something like that. But there's a pattern in there. Fair play to him. Players don't want to leave. So you can understand he's a young Italian international. He's at one of the best clubs. It's probably the wrong time for him to leave, let's be honest. So like I said a minute ago, we've got a list. We're going to work our way down it. The one that the top of the list, probably don't get him. He plays centre back for RB Leipzig. Is it Gavardio, the Croatian? He's only 20, and they want about 70 million for him. So
let's take some of these comments. Flip it out. Kent says, I worry for Brighton this season. There two players being plucked. Basuma, Kukurea might be on his way out as well. James says, Round, Belotti, Lingard, Ericsson and Lewis Potter would be nice and sell no one. No one has mentioned Zinchenko. I'd
Okay.
take him all day long. Quality left back, got a wand of a left foot. The only thing is he doesn't want to play left back. Though. That's
No.
the thing. He wants to play a midfield, which could work for us as well because we need a midfielder. I'm a big fan of it. I'd like us to sign him.
Jake,
Richarlison isn't a team player.
Jake, obviously, always likes a back four, really, doesn't he? A little bit.
Yeah.
Is there not? And you sort of play like a 4-2-3-1. Could you not like switch to like a 4-3-3? Is that like an option? Do you see him doing anything like that, or is he going to stay quite stubborn and rigid what he does?
I think we will be able to see that with kind of what sort of midfielder he does buy, because he's going to have to buy a midfielder because we've lost Noble and Kraus, so we're 2 down on a very light midfield as it is.
Yeah,
We've literally got.
I ask because obviously Zinchenko would probably slot him perfectly on the left of a midfield 3. So I was thinking along that lines whether.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, it depends what he buys. Whether he buys a creative one to kind of make a triangle 3, or one that's going to sit a little bit back and make a flat 3. I don't know. I don't know what David Moyes' plan of action will be. I think it is either one of them. It's going to be a 4-2-3-1, or it is going to be a 4-3-3. I would like us to go to a 4-3-3 because last season Souček, games passed him by and it ended with us being overrun in midfield with only 2 of them in there. I would like to see a 3 in midfield, but then that means like a Lanzini, we think is getting a new deal, pushing back a little bit, which means we've only got the front 3. Then it swings in roundabouts. I think we'll have to wait and see what Moyes' plan of action is. But whatever midfielder he buys, I think speaks volumes to what his plan is going to be for the season. Let's scroll down. Basuma has an attitude. They've all got an attitude if they're going to Spurs, aren't they?
Yeah, he's that's again. I've read plenty into the Brighton. That's a myth about having an attitude. Apparently, he strutted around a bit the first season, and then it was completely different after that. And all his fans have lauded him as the best Brighton player in their history. So he did have a bit of when he come in, a bit of an attitude, but that hasn't been the case for a couple of years apparently.
Yeah. To be fair, I think if you pay £55 million for Richarlison, I think you'll have a bit of a shock, if I'm honest with you, because I don't think he's all that. And with the deals between you North London lot, you get 45 million for Jesus or 55 million for Richarlison. I know which one I'm taking, and it's not Richarlison.
Okay, I'll go the other way.
Really?
I'd much rather Richarlison than Jesus. Much rather.
55 million pound for a player that was all right at Everton.
Well, one plays more for Brazil than the other one. Let's leave it at
that. Nah. In the Premier League, he's not a better player than Jesus.
I think he's a better option for Tottenham for definite.
Well, yeah, for Tottenham because you've got Harry Kane there, aren't you?
But I also think that Richarlison's a better option for Arsenal. So I do find it a bit of an odd one. But again, if it's going to be 55 million, I'll go back to what I said a minute ago. Daniel Levy's not a nice gentleman to do business with. He knows Everton need money. So what it'd be something like, all right, we'll give you 55 million, but we're going to give you £15 this year, 5 million next year. It will. That's what it will be. He will know he's got him over a barrel. Richarlison wants to leave. They want that money and they want Harry Winks. Then fine, we'll do business. But they won't get a lot up front straight away. Like this, I was just listening to Tottenham's #1 journalist. He's Alistair Gold. He works for the Standard. He was saying about the Basuma deal. The most they can pay is 30 million, including add-ons. But he said they probably paid less than half of that up front now. But so it's a strange one. You're not going to pay a lot up front, and by the time it comes to paying all the 55 million, you might have sold them on anyway.
Yeah, but see, I would take Dad says I would take Richarlison. I just think he's not the right player for West Ham. He's not a player that's going to track back. He's not, and he's going to be a player that's going to moan and have an attitude and is going to strut around like he thinks he's the best one there. And I just don't particularly like the bloke as a player. I just think
I know. Listen, I don't like him either, right? Which when it crops up, you think you might sign him. Then your mind starts to swing. Hang on a minute. I like the idea of a striker that no one likes. I like the idea of someone who's a bit nasty and a bit petulant. But you said about who doesn't run back. Okay, if West Ham are looking to play 4-2-3-1 again next year, right? I don't want my centre forward to run back. You don't want Antonio or someone else charging back down chasing the right back all up the field.
But if he's going to play for Spurs, he's not going to play centre forward, though, is he?
He's going to play this. He will be rotated in and out, and he can play all. This is the key. If Tottenham weren't playing a front three and he wasn't versatile, I wouldn't want him. But he's for Brazil. Like, he's played across. They can play a front three. And he's played across the whole front line, and he can do it certainly well enough across the whole front line. So he suits a team that plays a front three. He's versatile. He does fit the bill. He's probably not. I don't see him as any better than the front three we've got. Definitely not. But he does fit the bill for what they need, a versatile striker.
Oh, these comments. Marco Buka's better than Richarlison, and he can bring the caravan.
You know what? I think if Richarlison went to West Ham, he'd be in your top three best players. So I don't really.
No, he wouldn't. He really wouldn't, Sean.
He would.
He really wouldn't.
He's a top 6 level player, and you're a top 7 level club. So
straight off the bat, I think Rice, Bowen, Zuma is better than Richarlison.
Right, okay. I don't think I'm doing your shows when you must have been doing shows when you signed Zuma. Tottenham were linked to Zuma, and I did not want him anywhere near the building.
But if you put all the cat crap to the side, he's been very good this year.
Yeah, but I suppose Zuma. I'd probably totally different positions, and I know they're both at Everton.
Yeah.
I put Zuma probably a similar level of footballer to Richarlison. That's where I'd probably put him. To be fair, okay. So when we were linked to Zuma, first thing I thought, because obviously Tottenham were Champions League regulars. So when you're there, in your mind you've got to think, is he a Champions League footballer? Okay. With Zuma, I said no, I don't think he is. I don't think he's that level. He did well at Everton. Chelsea weren't that bothered. Is he Champions League level? Probably no. Richarlison, do I think he's Champions League level at the moment? I'm not sure. So I'm probably thinking along the same mindset. So I would put Richarlison as a level of footballer around Zuma. I think he'd be a great signing for West Ham. But
to be fair, we're having a chat, and he hasn't even signed for you yet, has he?
No, he hasn't. I think out of all the links we've been making, out of all the forwards, he might be linked to 10 forwards. He's the one that makes the most sense. I'm not saying he's the one I think is the best or brilliant, but he makes the most sense, and I definitely take him over Jesus and Rafinha. So if Arsenal get those two, it might suit Arsenal. It don't really suit Tottenham because I think we need a bit of versatility there, really.
Yeah. A Jesus doesn't suit Tottenham. To be fair, I don't particularly think of Richarlison suits Tottenham unless he's going to play out on the wing, Son one side and him on the other. Because as far as I'm aware, I don't watch Tottenham a lot. I don't really want to, but you tend to have Kane, Son, and who's the other winger that tends to Kulusevski. So will Richarlison get in over Kulusevski?
At the moment, best 11, no. But Champions League football isn't Europa Conference, Europa League football. What I mean is, I think I'm going to just get. I've seen a few of the fixtures. I'm going to guess it a little bit. I think we've got a Champions League game on like a Tuesday or Wednesday, following the weekend with Liverpool away. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, fair enough.
You're talking. I think Richarlison's a top 6 level player. I think he'd do well for Everton. West Ham, Arsenal. So that's where I'd put him. But if you've got Liverpool, you don't want to play maybe Kane every single week, or Son might need a little rest, or like Kulusevski. You need. I think we need to get Richarlison and another forward. So I don't think he'll be the only one, but it makes sense. And we got loads going out. We got some deadwood that needs shifting and. Yeah, we've probably done Tottenham enough now, haven't we?
yeah, we have. Let's move on to one of the final ones, and let's talk about Calvin Phillips. This will stir the pot up a bit. Now, many fans and Villa fans have kind of been sympathising, I suppose you could say, with Leeds fans today with the whole Grealish thing, and it is another homegrown player from a club who's left for the glory of Manchester City. £45 million. Sean, what do you make of it, Calvin Phillips?
Oh, I don't mind being proved wrong, but he's a player that I've never fully got. I'm from ability wise, I'm a little bit surprised Pep's gone for him.
Yeah, I agree. To be fair,
because as you know, when we're close mates to the Leeds fan, obsessed like how good he is. But he said, "Oh, his passing range is brilliant." At Man City, he'd be told to give 5-yard balls.
Yeah.
He's homegrown. It does remind me a little bit of when they signed Fabian Delph a few years back. It's sort of in the same mould. You know what I mean? Delph was in the England squad. I think Delph ended up playing left back for a season for Man City. On Calvin Phillips, this makes me laugh a little bit because he's a Leeds boy. I think he grew up on one of Leeds' biggest estates. He's had his mum on the pitch waving to the fans all the season. They stayed up, and he clearly just wants to go. So I get it's Man City. He'll go down, win a league title or two and an FA Cup or two. A bit like Grealish. Do you know what I mean? If that's the way you want to go, then it's up to you, isn't it? If you want to start 25 games a season or 20 games a season and win that, great. But for 2 years I listened. He was a Leeds boy through and through. Won't leave. Man City dangle a little carrot and he's off. And same as Rafinha a little bit. It's clear as day. Rafinha's a Brazilian. His form at Leeds got him into the Brazilian squad, and he's done well for Brazil. And for months, because he was linked to Liverpool, then all of a sudden it's Barcelona. So it's Barcelona and nowhere. Barcelona are skint. So then it's like, okay, it's Champions League club. Okay, not many of them have come in. So now he might join Arsenal. It's like, for whatever reason, well, probably because they're only just stayed up, Leeds' two best players clearly want to leave. So I don't know. I did hear one of your regular guests say that Jack Harrison wants to go because he doesn't get on with the new manager. That's it. Do you know what I mean? So that might be one to keep an eye on. Just if they're buying into their new manager's ideas. You know what I mean? Phillips might have been up for staying. Bielsa went because obviously they treat him like a god. Someone new come. I don't want to sound bad, but that American accent, I don't think many footballers buy into it. Do you know what I mean?
No.
I think it's just a natural thing. Like you hear him talking, think, hang on a minute, I'm not having this. You'd rather someone with an interpreter next to you than an American. So Leeds and a new manager, I think that's one we'll keep an eye on as well, mate.
Yeah, I think with Phillips, it's just another thing of Man City came calling and he's gone, and then just in a blink of an eye he's gone, and £45 million. They showed on Sky Sports yesterday. A load of Leeds fans, they gutted. He's gone for not enough money. Well, at the end of the day,
he was another one a bit like Rice. I think he was. I'm sure I read the club decided and the player decided together they weren't even going to discuss a new contract until they knew if they were going to stay up or go down. And he stayed up, and they clearly, whether they had a quick discussion, he said no thanks. Do you know what I mean? It's a strange one because he's in the England squad. He starts a lot for England. He didn't need to leave yet. Do you know what I mean? He didn't have to sign. Whether Leeds pushed him out the door because he said, again, I don't want to stay. But it's strange because he's a Leeds boy. Like, you got Declan Rice and you worship him, but he's not a West Ham boy, is he? Do you know what I mean? He's a legend and he's brilliant, but he's not a West Ham through and through lad as a person. Calvin Phillips is Leeds through and through. So it's a little bit different again, and he's just clearly for whatever reason decided I'm not signing, I'm off. And I don't think it looks good on Phillips that much or Leeds really.
Yeah, just a bit of a disappointing situation. I know it's going to be, a year down the line or whatever. It is going to be us in this situation at the end of the day, and it probably is going to be a club like City come calling. I'd hate if he went to Chelsea, to be honest with you, but whatever happens. I really would hate it to be Chelsea, but at the end of the day, he's not going to stay at West Ham for his whole career, is he? He will leave.
It's what it happens, mate. To be honest, I think my club are in a position where we can keep a player a bit better now, but that's what comes with a club. That's what happens when a club becomes more powerful, though. But it wasn't that long ago when Tottenham had Gareth Bale, and it was like he's too good for Tottenham. And then the biggest club in the world come calling for world record fee. The player wants to go, so it happens.
Hey ho! Just before we wrap things up, we've talked about some good players and some flipping average players tonight, but a good player in his day is coming on the channel on the 5th of July. You know who it is, Sean?
You did tell me. Is it Tony Cotton?
Flipping hell, shut up.
Have I broke the exclusive?
Yeah, you have. Well done.
That's all right, mate. You were dangling the carrot. I had to say it.
No, you didn't. No, nobody heard who it was anyway.
No.
Marco Boogers.
I have met the chap, and he's a very nice gentleman. Anyway, he's very, very
Yeah.
nice.
Hey ho. Only 31 people watching. Anyway, we'll wrap things up there. You can see that with Marco Boogers on the 5th of July. But
5th of July. What day is that on? Is that on a?
I don't know, Wednesday or something. I don't know.
Oh, I'm back from Elderly that day. I'll have to tune in.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sean, for coming on. We'll do this again next week after, whenever.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on it because, like I said, this 30th of June, you might see a few clubs do a bit of business in the next week. So what we then? We're in the July, and they're back. Then I got a funny feeling a lot of clubs whose players didn't go to the international games, are they back already or starting to come back next week? Tomorrow, maybe?
Yeah. Our players came back today.
Yeah, so they're coming back. I think the international players have only got an extra week. So give the first week, 7th or 8th of July, everyone's back in full training. And then I think another week after that, a lot of them are flying off on their tours or wherever they're going. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know about Moyes. I expect a lot of managers saying, but apparently Conte wanted most of the business done before they got on the plane to South Korea. So the next 3 weeks, mate, there must be a lot of movement around the market for all the clubs.
Yeah. Boogers weren't involved in it, Peter. I don't know what you're on about. Rice needs to be kept. He certainly does. Will Boogers be talking about the Haven Caravan Park? All of it, all live and exclusive from his caravan. Brozier going on Chelsea's pre-season tour. Yeah, I think we are in a bit of a sticky situation here because they're being stupid by saying, "Well, we want Brozier, we want Rice." You know.
Like I said before with Jake, though, Chelsea are a different animal because they've loaned out so many.
Yeah.
The manager, I know he's been there 18 months probably. He won't know a lot about half these players. So you might find someone like a Brozier, Conor Gallagher. I'm sure they've got others. You might find they'll have to be done later in the window because Chelsea he'll want to look at them.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have to bide your time with a Brozier. I think he'd go. I don't think he's probably good enough for what Chelsea want at the moment.
Yeah.
But you might have to wait another month for him, I reckon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. But anyway, we'll leave it there. We will be back maybe next week with Sean to talk about some more bang average players that have been linked with Spurs. Thank you very much for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks as always, Sean.
No worries, mate. We'll chat again soon.
Catch you soon. That's it from us. Enjoy what's left of your Sunday evening, and we'll catch you soon. Cheers, guys. Bye bye.